morning.
Good morning.
Yes, here we are. Another week of the why and what books that I don't have to show you.
Borrow mine.
We're slogging our way through it. We've already got the books for the next series on the Four Loves by C.S. Lewis. Somebody suggested that. I think it was. Yeah, and we're going to do that. But you can start thinking, what other series would you like? I thought about doing one on the will of God. You know, how do you determine the will of God and the different theories on that one. But this week we're on comparative religions, probably part 1, chapter 11 in the Why book. And when we start talking about comparative religions, start comparing religions, and especially comparing religions to Christianity, there's a couple mix of responses, 2 ways, inside, outside the church. From outside the church, comparative religions are usually met with, at best, indifference, at worst, hostility. I mean, is this necessary? After all religions are the same, basically, and they just differ in little bitty things. Or the other response is, you Christians are so arrogant, putting your Christianity above other religions. Oh, you know, I've met both responses. I've also met the response from inside the church, where comparative religion is seen as unnecessary or even harmful. You know, all my kid needs is to know Jesus loves them. They just need the Bible. They don't need this other stuff. It confuses them. I had a pastor tell me that. Different views confuse people. So, and you know, I get why people say that. I can understand from the basis they come from why they might feel those things, but I still think, obviously, comparative religions are good and necessary for the Christian. It's not just because I'm an apologist, but because, for one, it's biblical. What did Paul do when he was on Mars Hill in Acts 17? When he confronted the Epicureans and the Stoics, did he just talk about Jesus, or did he actually quote from an ancient classic Greek poem? Well, the later, Kevin. Thank you. So, what advantage did that give Paul when he quoted from their authors, when he knew what their author says? What advantage did that give Paul with them?
Give him a connection.
Connection.
It also gives him a little bit of authority because he's a smart guy. He can compare different things, and you know what I'm saying, right?
Yes. Paul, you come up with some good stuff, Paul. We like you. So, right. I once mentioned to a person I was having a discussion with, and I said, you know, before you critique another view, you should be able to accurately reproduce it. No, not at all. I don't have to know what they believe. You know, so I disagree with that. Yes, but most of all, making a connection. As Christians, we really need to use that device to find common ground. In addition to finding common ground, being knowledgeable in other beliefs helps you to prevent a straw man fallacy. Who knows what a straw man fallacy that I probably went over 5 million times already?
You attack the person, not the concept or the argument.
That was good, but wrong.
Wrong?
That's an ad hominem attack.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
No, straw man fallacy. Anyone else? Bueller? It's something where you lose credibility because you say, that other person believes this. Sometimes it's unintentional, often it's not. And I know you'll say, well, I've never seen that in politics where they accuse their opponent of being this and they're not really that, but to try and get people to go, oh, I don't want to support that guy. He believes in killing rabbits or something, So a straw man fallacy is where you construct this false view of somebody or what they say, and then you knock it down and go, look how good I am. I destroyed that bad person's view. So we don't want to do that with other religions. In fact, preparing this, I found out something I thought was airtight. It's not airtight. We'll get to that. For example, in the debate over abortion, talking about straw man, those on, if I could say, the other side of the debate, the pro-choice or the defending women's rights side, which is also a misnomer because it makes it sound like we don't defend women's rights at all. But I frequently hear Christians proclaiming that abortion is obviously wrong because the unborn is alive. And you kill an alive baby, oh, that's murder. Well, the pro-choice side, at least the knowledgeable ones, never say it's the baby, the unborn, is not alive. They don't say that, the knowledgeable ones. They say it's not a person. So it may be alive, they'll say, and it may even look kind of like a baby, but it's not a person yet. Because the criteria is, it's not a person, not a person, not a person. Oh, it moves just outside of the womb. Oh, it's a person now. Or, Peter Singer, when it's not a person, it's born outside the womb, not a person, not a person, not a person, not a person, until it can articulate ideas. Then it's a person. So before that, for him, all the way to the womb and inside the womb, it can be terminated. That is horrific. You're saying, even by your criteria outside the womb, that this young child can be terminated because it can't articulate? What would that mean for older people?
Or disabled people who don't have their...
But we've never seen that in history, have we? Where the disabled and the psychologically impaired were deemed, where they put a light on them in filming so that they would have a gross looking face. We've never seen that in the 1930s, did we? Right. When in doubt, pick on Hitler. Yes. So we want to be effective from a Christian viewpoint. We need to be accurate in what we say they believe. Right? So this is also biblical because 1 Peter 3 compels us to defend Christianity with hostility, anger, accusations, right? That's out of the new version. No, what does it say? Again, that was good, but wrong. Grace and gentleness, or gentleness and respect. Peter, defend Christianity with gentleness and respect. Okay, I think that's ridiculous because we haven't lost respect in our culture now. So if I may be emphatic, when we engage other religions, we will not be successful if we trash them or refuse to allow them to defend their view. We're going to lose the connection, we're going to lose credibility, and I would say lose an opportunity. But it's hard to just listen. It really
But
is.
that's what we expect of them. We expect them to listen to us in return. So if it goes one way, it should go the other.
You're exactly right, Kim. See? And this is fact. I used this argument with Jehovah's Witnesses. I says, okay, I'll take your stuff if you let me give you my stuff. Oh, no, I can't. I mean, I can take your stuff, but you can't take mine? Yes, because they're prohibited by the watchtower.
Yeah.
They can only tell you they will listen, but you can tell they're not listening. And I know you've never had a debate with another Christian where you knew they weren't listening. Like a Sunday school teacher. Anyway, however, that does not mean we should avoid discussions and questioning. In fact, I would put to you that the first step in someone leaving a particular religion, hopefully for Christianity, the first step is questioning their own religion. They really don't think you're going to get around that. You know, we could have a debate, but we're not going to. And in fact, I have here, Karen, you hit that on the head, because atheists expect us to do that when they promote their stuff. They expect us to listen and leave just like that, leave Christianity. I mean, I run all the time. Stuff on the YouTube, destroy Christianity in 30 seconds. You know, wow, 30 seconds. You must be really effective. I wonder why you've never had this show before. But, so that's what they expect us to do. For example, talking about what you're talking about, Karen, I remember a South Park episode where they had this, I think it was the school teacher guy, he left Christianity when he found out about the Crusades. First of all, the Crusades were not what they depict, but that's what they had. So I was going to write a letter and ask, oh, so in fairness and balance, are you going to have your atheists on the show leave atheism when they found out that atheist regimes have murdered more people than all the religious wars combined? But then I cowered out. But let's ask, speaking of seeking to have someone question a religion, what would you call the bare bones core essence of Christianity that Little talks about on page 182, 183? What would you call the bare bone core essence of Christianity?
Christ is the only way to.
Okay.
Well, salvation, I get forgiveness.
All right. And why does man need forgiveness?
Because we were born into a sinful nature.
Not only are we born into a sinful, but we're really messed up, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are sinners. I said, if you heard me when I get upset at car starters and stuff, you would swear I'm not a Christian. Or I get frustrated with other things. Right? We are messed up people. And Christ, well, you could even say we're evil. We can say we're evil. We have an evil nature. Right? Even as a Christian, it's still part of us. And Jesus Christ came and added humanity to his divine nature to be a sacrifice for that sinful nature. Right? We call that what? What's the churchy word we use for that? It starts with an A or a P. Who is deep into theology?
Purification. Is that the P word?
No.
Say, what are we trying to define again?
That Christ came and died for our sins.
Appreciation.
There you go. Okay. Atonement, propitiation, because, preachers and philosophers need to have big words to throw at you so you think we're smart. Really, philosophy, we make up words. So it's not all about relationship. It is about relationship. Christianity's not all about relationship, but it's about redemption. And this is what Little was talking about. Redemption, to redeem something. We used to be, like my mother would take her S&H green stamps, if you remember those, or her coupons, into the supermarket and redeem them for stuff or discounts on there was a whole couponer show where ladies would buy $300 worth of groceries and only pay $10. You know, I don't know about you, but I don't have time to coupon like that. I don't even know if they have paper coupons anymore.
Really?
So when we engage other religions, especially the cult, it boils down to how we are restored to communion with God, how we are redeemed, how we are reconciled. All this idea that there's a gulf. In my father's church when I was growing up, on the wall they had this painting of this two mount cliffs and this great gulf in between. And they had man on one side and God on the other. You know, and for a liberal church, I thought that was awesome. But that's the idea. There is a separation between us, a division, a gulf, and it has to be it has to be bridged. This is what Christianity is about. You're messed up. You're separated from God, and Christ is the one that restores you to God. So when we talk about religions, cults, but we're not going to talk about cults, it's really, that's what it boils down to. What is the difference? So Little takes time out to carefully define truth as it correlates to facts. Why does it matter that we understand the difference between truth and facts and preference and opinion? Why does that matter?
Because one will change and the other is rock solid.
Okay, good. Does truth or facts change?
You talking about reality, or are you talking about people's?
Are you
version of
talking
the
like
truth?
gravity, the truth of like gravity, or the truth that, there are some things that can change about truth because the situation changes.
Or we find out,
Discoveries.
New things all the time, yes,
Right.
There's a lot I don't know.
so reality was always what it was,
Right.
just our understanding. And we talk about physics and gravity and the universe. I mean, Newton, who was a Christian, brilliant man, Christian, believed that, back then they believed that space consisted of ether, this gas. This is what filled space, because something had to be there. And it wasn't until later we found out, no, there's nothing in space. Is that what they believe now?
They believe.
There's all kinds of stuff in space.
Dark energy, strong magnetism, weak magnetism, all these different things from physics that I just didn't remember. But anyways, truth and facts do stay the same if we accurately discover them, but preference and opinion often changes, not only regionally, but governments. In fact, part of my dissertation was called The Rightly Ordered Society, that there's a theistic basis for rights, and then there's a right-ordered society. Basically, the society decides which rights you'll have. Does that terrify anybody? Well, that
That was
terrifies me to no end.
that was on a Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone.
The original one.
The original, the true one. Insert debate over Star Trek, the original, or Next Generation, or Picard, or any of those. Right? We could have that debate.
You get back to outer space.
Blah, blah, blah. So, technically, right and wrong, based on truth, would not change. Ooh. If we open our Bibles, would we be led to that? Just very casting this carefully. Sometimes this mistake is made.
I would say no. The Old Testament is all about an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And the New Testament is more about forgiveness and
Okay? Was there forgiveness in the Old Testament?
Yeah.
well, I would say yeah, but
Yeah, because the bull, the goat, not the goat, the lamb,
Lamb.
the turtle doves. Yeah, that's why they were a bloody religion they accuse us of.
yeah, but Jesus also wasn't talking about stoning people for sin, like God was to the Israelites.
You mean with the woman, right? Where he saved the woman? And you're like, yeah, Jesus.
No, I'm talking
Could
about
Jesus-
even the tribes of Israel, when, like adultery, murder, unruly child. They always talked about getting rid of the evil, like
Right, right.
But Jesus wasn't about that.
Right. See, there is a seemingly difference. And to say there is no difference in the Old Testament versus the New Testament, it's not accurate. So, when you accuse us of being arbitrary, we have to understand there was different covenants. So the Mosaic covenant had certain rules, like what you could eat, what you could wear, Facebook posting Christians, and these changed with the new covenant. But the core essence of right and wrong did not change. Some of the particular applications of right and wrong. For example, the Old Testament, like I can go to Red Lobster and eat scallops now, where before, because they were crawling on the ocean, you couldn't eat them. That was an application. And we went over in another class the whole reason for the different covenants, and I'm not going to do it now. The point is that truth doesn't change at its core. So, what does this have to do with religion? Well, if you haven't noticed, religion is about what you can do and can't do, right? Ladies, if you were in Iran, 4 or 5 decades ago, you could even wear something more womanly, like a shorter dress than you are now. Fast forward a couple decades, what happened in Iran?
Full cover.
You're not covered up. You have some police guy come around and beat you. You go out unescorted by a man, you'll get beaten. What was my point? Oh, religion. Religion tells you what you can do and can't do. Does Christianity tell you what you can do and can't do?
No.
Really?
It tells you what you should and shouldn't do, and if you decide to still do it, then that's on you.
Okay. Does anybody have a different take on that? Disagreement's fine. Allow.
You're looking at it from the point of view that we're going to get zapped if we don't do what we're supposed to. In Christianity, God allows us free will.
All right.
So I agree with Jeff on should and shouldn't.
It suggests things, like Jeff was saying.
Okay.
It suggests, the right path to go down and everything, but we do, like Renee said, we have free will, but we all are going to stand before a judge.
Right.
So it's our choice if we want to.
Okay. But if we're going to get judged,
It does say that, it does.
There are rules.
Right, and whether we have free will or not, that's what it does tell us what we can and can't do.
right, Christianity does.
Yeah, but is Phil gonna beat you for not doing it?
Okay, you're talking about
It's the punishment
Right.
that's the difference,
the
not the law.
application of the administration of right and wrong.
Right.
Right? Christianity presently doesn't have religion police walking the street beating you if, let's see, you're in a relationship and you're not married, you're sleeping together, or you're not dressing modestly in the definition of modestly, which I would purport the New Testament doesn't really define what is modest, with the exception of my wife, who says modesty is always in fashion. That's what she told her daughters. Modesty is always in fashion. We won't go down there. Will we, huh?
No.
Because you thought her find out what you did with some of her clothes when she went to school. Bad mom.
She argued with me, I just resolved the issue.
Okay, the classic example is, how did I get there?
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, well, somehow I was supposed to get to sincerity. What I'm saying is, what if you sincerely believe something? Do you ever hear that one? Do we even hear that anymore? If you sincerely believe when it comes to your religion, then that's true, that's right.
Even saying that is
Well, that,
preposterous.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous because you
I'm
can.
sincere that 2 and 2 equals 12.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it just doesn't apply. The truth is the truth.
Do we want people to be sincere in what they believe?
Yes.
Right. I mean,
But
we
they have-
wouldn't want to date somebody for marriage. Yeah, I love you. You know, I do that to my wife sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, I love you. If it changes, I'll let you know. You know, right. But, you were going to say?
Well, I don't know what I was gonna say, but anyway, but you can be sincerely believing in the wrong thing.
Yes! Yes! Right? And my example here, one example, but I'm like, you know, one hopes one has a doctor who's going to operate you that is sincere about his occupation, but not sincerely wrong. Right? Because now, like, they went to take my wife in to operate on her knee, and I says, we just want to confirm this is the knee you're getting operated on. Right, right. You know, me, magic marker, not this one.
Actually, on my cancer surgery, they didn't mark me with magic marker kind of
We
way.
do.
They do,
Yeah.
yes.
When we do eye stuff, they
marking.
put a little. They put a mark
Yeah.
so we know we're
Yeah.
doing the
We
right
know
eye.
which way they're going.
Yeah, Phil talked about that. The guy operated, took out the one guy's one good eye. But my thing was going to be, what happens if you sincerely believe that wild lions can't wait to be hugged by humans? You
You're only
sincerely
going to believe
believe
for a
that?
very short time.
Or end up like the grizzly man.
Or what happens if you sincerely believe that to be friends with lions, you should run away from lions? Alan Planiker used this thing. So in the one case, your life is very short. You sincerely believed it, but it was not correct. In the other case, you sincerely believed it and it wasn't correct, but you lived, which tends to make you think what you believe is correct. Right? Does it work? We use that in philosophy. If something doesn't work, sometimes that's a good indicator that it's false. But utilitarianism is not a way to run a culture. Run on time doesn't mean Hitler, pick on Hitler again, Hitler was morally right. Okay, so I think we beat that point up. But all this has massive implications when you go to study religion that you spent most of the time hasn't got to yet. Is religions, what do we think of God? Is God a big meanie in the sky who's cruel? Or is he a gray-haired grandfather who's, you know, just, do anything you want, it's okay, right? What about the rules of morality? These things matter. So just saying all religions, it doesn't matter what you believe, does make a difference, especially how we're reconciled to God, or if we even need to be reconciled with God. These things make a difference. So Christianity, if I might summarize, so if I wrote it down, I don't say it, then I feel like, you know, I wasted my time. Christianity, Christ did the religious works for you to redeem you. Little says all other. Most other religions, you do the religious works to redeem yourself. Right? Why do I say religious works and not just works? Because Christianity does have you do works. We have to be careful when we say it's not about works. Well, Christianity does, but we're talking about what justifies you before God. You cannot do enough good things to justify yourself. You cannot wipe out. In the Air Force, we said one all shoot. All shoot wipes out 15 attaboys, right? Fortunately, in marriage, that never happens, right, guys? One mistake wipes out 10 hubby points. You guys get hubby points? No. Wow, you're the man, Dave. I got called a chucklehead yesterday. It wasn't a loving chucklehead either. Randy's being a chucklehead. All right, so let's see how we're going to do a couple religions, but we're not going to do all because we did a Sunday school series.
Something cool, okay.
No
Actually,
going away for the
I
weekend.
get paid to speak. I really do. You know, my job. But what is Islam? So we're going to go over Islam today and probably finish it next time. And then I thought maybe we'd do Hinduism and maybe another one or two. I'm not going to do the more far out ones like New Age.
Which is always changing.
Yes, no.
Yes,
Yes,
no.
no.
Yes, no.
Yes, no. Right. Who was that? That was an actress back in our day. And she was big into New Age. I know she's still alive. Well, Islam. Islam shares with what does Islam share with Christianity and Judaism share? What can we say about them? I don't know if Jake's had his comparative religion class yet. If I knew that, I'd be like yelling at him all the time.
Well, we know God is the creator.
Yeah.
They look at God as the creator.
Yes, that's true, but so does Hinduism.
But they believe in one. One, like we do.
And that's called what?
It's right here. Monotheist.
Oh, you're so good, Paul. You're so good.
Thank you.
Monotheism, right. So monotheistic faith, where solitary entity, deity, versus Hinduism, where in Hinduism you can have untold number of deities. It just keeps adding, and we have to be careful when we talk. We'll get into Hinduism, trying to be accurate.
330 million gods in Hinduism.
I don't know,
That's what he said.
but we should know why they believe that too before we go like that, because that would be disrespectful, right?
Right.
And we might not, if we don't understand why they believe that, even though we would disagree with it. So the single deity is what we share with Islam, even though Islam would not agree that we are a solitary deity, because they profoundly disagree with us, accusing us of having three gods.
Right.
Three gods. So again, if we seek to understand what you believe, shouldn't you understand what we believe so it's accurate? And there's a point we're going to go over on this where I was off. So I see Islam, and I'm not going to go into the history of Islam and all that, and Muhammad. There's books. I brought a couple. One of them I brought the Quran. It's in English, and I grant that Islam says I can't really understand or appreciate Quran unless it's in Arabic. And I really wanted to learn Arabic just for the Quran. Not that just to be respectful. But I had the Quran, and then a highly touted book is called The Life of Muhammad. And you see, it's like, what book could I got? What was the guy's name in Germany, the famous Christian? He was part of the attempt to kill Hitler. Hitler again. Bonhoeffer. He wrote a book. It's twice this. I couldn't wait to get it. And then I looked how big it was, and I thought, I'm going to be like they say. Everyone owns the book, but no one reads it. But so, The Life of Muhammad is another good book on Islam. But there's a doctrinal difference I see with Islam and a functional difference. And trying to boil things down. First, a Muslim would profoundly object to Christianity doctrinally about God. You think so? Yeah. First, they'd say God, and when I say God in Islam, I'm referring to Allah. God is one, not three, they would say. These are like points they have with us. 2, God is way too great to become human. Our incarnation. Way too great. He would never become human. 3, God is eternal. He cannot be born or die, going against the incarnation and the atonement. 4, the Bible cannot be trusted because it has been perverted, manipulated from its original position of supporting Islam and supporting Muhammad. Right? So those are major points. Let's try and go through a couple. In Islam, to teach that God is not radically solitary and far, far separated from man is to commit what's called shirk. Apologize if I don't say it correct, pronounce it correctly. In Surah 112 of the Quran, Muhammad defines God, Allah, as saying, say, He is God, the one and only, God, the eternal, absolute. He begetteth not, nor is He begotten, and there is none like Him. So, this has been called the doctrine in Islam of Tawhid. Tawhid. Again, I'm sorry. I tried to, find out how to pronounce it. I'm probably not saying it correctly. Much like call back to my Greek class, where my wife does a much better job of saying it, and I'm bumbling and stumbling. What?
I don't know anything about Islam, but is this their things you just read us, their belief?
Yeah.
Is this based on Muhammad? Where do they get this information?
Okay, that's a good point. That's a very good point. And let me try to be as respectful as possible, but not shilly-shally. What we know of Allah comes from Muhammad. Muhammad received these visions, and then Muhammad articulated these to others, and the others wrote them down. Muhammad did not write them down. There's a debate whether he was illiterate or not, and I'm not going to go into that. But Muhammad did not directly write down what he received from God, but actually from an angel. Sometimes I get my comparative religion stuff mixed up. I apologize. He would not receive it directly from Allah. He received it from, I think, Michael the Archangel, and he wrote it down. No, he didn't write it down.
The others wrote it
He
down.
articulated it to others, and then that's where we get the Quran. Don't kill me, and I'm being funny. The Quran is said by Islam to be pure and unaltered from all of time. For one, because it's eternal. There's an eternal Quran, and then there's a corporeal Quran. You mean something divine has two natures? Stop right there, Kevin. Yeah, okay, all right, we won't go there. But, so,
they're basing their belief on what they believe to be from God directly through an angel.
indirectly from an angel, only
Indirectly
through
from an
Muhammad. Now, what I find curious is there's another religion that says its founder gave us what the true religion, because Christianity was perverted and got corrupt, and he had to correct it. So he received his knowledge from God through an angel on golden tablets, and he needed a visor to interpret them, and his associates were there with him to validate this. Wait a minute. They later said they weren't there. So once again, it was just him in a cave receiving these visions. You know what religion that is?
Is that Mormon?
Mormonism, right? I'm trying to be accurate, not trying to slander, but this is it. Christianity, we receive from God, sometimes through angels, sometimes directly from God. In our source of scriptures, we had one author too, right? Say no.
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 Multiple authors.
Multiple authors over thousands of years, and yet we say there's a commonality, a common theme. The common theme from Genesis until Revelation is what?
Jesus.
Yeah.
You said we can't go wrong with
You
it.
can always answer a question in church with Jesus.
Wow.
Then we can't go wrong.
In the Old Testament, it wasn't Jesus. He hadn't been
Ooh,
born.
we could go there.
But he was there.
See, so many tangents.
So
No,
he was
Just
there,
give us
but
the
we
answer.
weren't aware of him. Is what it comes down
He
to.
was in there. He's the thread. I
He's
think.
always
the thread, the red scarlet thread
He's always
of
been there. It's just the awareness.
redemption.
There's.
Oh yes.
Right? That's why Little was saying this is the core of our religion. No, you guys are all about killing fun. Anything that's fun, you say no. Well, that can come across that way. That's also called parenting, right? I mean, right? What's funny is when you think, I was the one saying that to my father, and now I said it to my kids, and my kids are saying it, my daughter's saying it to her son. Like, yeah, there's nothing like being a grandparent so you can get payback. Oh, it's so awesome. Especially when your kids get frustrated with their kids. You know, and you go, oh, yeah, hon, yeah, I understand it. Inside you're going, did I put that on tape?
Yes, you did. Let's go.
Oh. Anyways, so there's a debate whether the Quran thinks that the Christian Trinity is God the Father, Mary, and Jesus or not. This is the point I was in error on. And we will pick up there next week
Oh, hold us in suspense.
because this is an important point and a difference. And really, if you're going to connect to Muslims and probably a Muslim family, maybe your neighbor, and ladies, it'll probably be you talking to his wife, because you won't be talking to her husband if they're strict Muslims. You know, these things will come up, because the thing I found out was Muslims are like, you know, this is so important in our life. Why wouldn't you want to talk about it? But Americans go, oh, not my job. Don't talk about religion and politics in the cockpit. Really? You don't know us pilots, right? We just sit there and talk about fluffy stuff. Really? Really? No, but don't talk about religion. Don't talk about religion. You know, but Muslims, they're like, this is so important. So they might have tons of questions. There is nothing like someone having questions. Remember this? I beat this to death. Because questions mean they might actually be listening when you talk. Versus being a parent of a teenager, right? I always beat up young people. I just think humorous, where, blah, 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 blah. That was me. That was me for an hour with my kids. Blah, 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 blah. Literally, my daughters would sit there and their eyes would roll back in their heads. Blah, 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 blah.
The rough high school years.
All right, we're going to pick up on that. Any last thoughts about anything about comparative religion, Islam, or anything? Had some great.
I was struck by, in other religions, it seems like their hope in whatever's going to happen is placed on themselves. Like they have to hope in themselves to get to where they need to go. Whereas with Christians, our hope is in Jesus Christ, and it's such a big. For me, there is no hope in their religion because it's based on a person who's. But in our religion, I mean anybody, because our hope is in Jesus Christ, and
Right.
I don't know. I feel like they're hopeless and we're hopeful, but
Right.
without trying to be disrespectful. But it just
No, and a lot of times just saying that, I'm trying not to slander what you believe, but this is my press. So gentleness and respect, but yet not shilly-shally, is the order of the day when we talk to people.
There was one part here where he said he's talked to people and said, do you think that you've done enough to get to your heaven? And almost every one of them said no.
Really?
Yeah, that there was a little
Oh, I
sentence.
didn't.
I'll look it up for you and show you. And I was like, oh, that's like, oh my goodness, like, if you really don't think you can get there, that's awful.
Right. I mean, like,
Not on their own.
But
like,
that's what their religion
But
says. You
that's
have
the
to do it
truth.
on your own. And if
Yeah.
you don't, if you're Hindu, then you're going to go backwards.
So that's a glimpse of the reality of Christianity, that they aren't recognized.
right, but what would be their counter-accusation then? Oh, Christ did it all for you, you can do anything. So that means, one last time, so, I get this one, so Hitler would go to heaven if he repented? That's not right! Well, yeah, but do you think he did repent? No! Right, but you're right. Well, that's not fair. You want fair? I don't want fair. When I go before a judge, I don't want fair. I don't want justice. I want mercy. When the officer pulls me over, I don't lie to him, but I certainly don't, please give me a ticket. I want to be held accountable. No. The officer, she made me do it. It's not my fault.
You don't hold the sign in the window.
You want to go through that one,
In
yeah.
Hinduism, don't they, isn't there, if you're suffering, they say it's because you've sinned in the past or something?
That is Hinduism and karma. And we're going to talk about that, right? But Islam, and we're not going to go over it, is big into determinism, the will of Allah. You're stuck with whatever you get because it's the will of Allah. In fact, Allah, you can do all things right, and Allah can still say, you're going to hell, because I just feel like it. I don't mean that slanderously, but Allah is not held because he's said to not have attributes. We're going to get into that a little next time. Father, I get all excited. Yes, Lord, I get excited. I hope it doesn't come across like I'm bashing other religions. That's not my intent. My intent, because it's like a man who stumbled upon a feast, a hungry man, and all his fellow people were starving, and he was so excited. I got something great that'll save you. That's the passion, the hope comes across. Because you, Christ, are the feast. You, Christ, are the answer, the redemption. Not me. You are, Lord. In Christ's name, amen.